Welcome in, Eagle Nation, once again here from Ted Smith Family Football Operations Building as we wrap up National Signing Day 2021 for Georgia Southern football. Joined now by head coach Clay Helton. Coach, appreciate you joining us.
No, thanks for having me. Great day to be an Eagle.
Everybody talks about the hard work that goes into really the last month and a half for you guys, and rightfully so. But you mentioned something at the press conference. How much fun has this process been?
It's been a blast. I was saying in the press conference that, in my last job, I kind of inherited that opportunity after being an interim, so a lot of the pieces were already in place. To be able to come into a great situation like Georgia Southern and be able to rebuild from the ground up as far as being able to evaluate players, evaluate staff, be able to build a staff, be able to sign your first signing class. It has required a lot of energy, but I'm having a blast with it. I mean, literally getting the opportunity to develop new relationships and strong relationships. And anytime that you go and you sign a 20-man class in 4 weeks, something really good happens. So, especially when 17 out of the 20 are right here from the state of Georgia. So it's been a lot of fun over the last 4 weeks.
Before we dive into what the Georgia Southern recruiting class looks like, you got a special moment earlier on today. You got the opportunity to talk to your son Turner, who committed today as well.
Yeah, I was so proud of him. He is going to Western Kentucky to play for his uncle now, who's not Uncle Tyson, but Coach Helton from this point on. But to be able to share that moment, to be able to take a step back for a second and get to be a dad and be able to enjoy that moment with him. I know how hard he's worked at it, and to be able to have that moment with him was special.
You dive into this recruiting class. We'll start on the offensive side. You signed 2 quarterbacks, David Dallas and Zach Roseman, out of Marietta. Roseman. Talk about what those two really bring to this class.
Yeah, both of them are elite passers, and as I said in the press conference, I don't know if it happens if Brian Ellis isn't here. I really, to be able to get that quality of 2 men that can be, basically the leaders of your program, incredible people, incredible leaders, over 140 touchdown passes combined between the two over a career. You don't get those elite style of passers unless you have a Brian Ellis here, as well as an elite group of receivers that came with him. So it was special to have those 2 men. They really can be the profile of what you want an Eagle to be and what you want the leader of a program to be.
You've talked about ever since you got to Statesboro, the stable of running backs that you already have at Georgia Southern. You add one to that in Amari Arnold.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Electric. I mean, just anytime you're talking about a young man that has over 6,500 yards, 12th all time in the history of this great state. And I was saying in the press conference, I was acting like a 6th grader. I mean, just watching the state championship game, and he's running for 350 yards, and he breaks one, he bounces one out to the right, and out circles the entire defense. I mean, he just showed what he can be. He's just a special, unique talent. The numbers don't lie. Just a first-class young man. Has been at Brooks County. They do such a great job of being able to develop their kids, and for him to be able to come in here, he's going to be one of those guys I think all Eagle Nation is going to be proud to have.
You talk about changing the offense up a little bit more passing than what people are used to. You signed 4 receivers, and you talked about it during the press conference, guys that can come in and make an impact right away. Yeah,
what you'll see when you go watch this tape, and I would recommend to all Eagle Nation, go watch these 4 guys. I couldn't believe that was the first thing that I recognized, about the state of Georgia. When you go to the rural areas and you really dig in deep, you can find some incredible talent. And when you watch these kids tape, one you're going to see is just electric speed. I mean, the ability to hit home runs. When you talk about Marcus Sanders and Dalen Cobb, when you talk about the Jet, Joshua Thompson, and then one of the more physical receivers that in the history of my career in Josh Dallas, you're talking about 4 guys that in one core are the future of that room, and to get them in your first class, very special. Again, I have to credit, Brian Ellis and Ryan Applin in that offensive room. They really dove into these kids and got them here.
You move to the offensive line, add some beef up front. Nate Lewis is somebody that Frank Solkowski said is absolutely nasty out of Hazelhurst. Chandler Strong from Warner Robins, and then Pishon Wembley from Moreland. When you look at these three guys, what's the biggest thing that jumps out?
I like their toughness, to be honest with you, and I like the versatility. You know, Chandler can be a guard or a center. Bishan can probably play all 5 positions from tackle all the way inside. Nate Lewis with great length, great athleticism at the second level. All can move. All are going to be big men. The beauty of all 3, they're also smart people. They're graduating very early. They're going to be here in January. All 3 of them are midterm graduates. They're going to have the ability to be in Bobby Steiner's strength and conditioning program for basically 7 months prior to and go through 2 training camps. So they're going to be able to really put themselves in position because they have a physical and mental maturity to, I think, really help contribute in the 2 deep right off the bat.
You flip to the other side of that line, the defensive line, Deshaun Davis, somebody out of Charlotte, Kai Teo out of Columbia, South Carolina, and then the only transfer in the December portion of your class, and Christian Varner. What are those 3 guys all about?
You know, one, we wanted to increase our size. We wanted to start there. When you talk about Christian and Kai, you know, Kai's a 292-pound man today. I don't know what he's going to be when he gets on campus. You're talking about an 18-year-old young man that 7 months out, you know, he's going to be a 300-pounder. And then, you know, Christian is somebody that's proven, you know, on the at the defensive line position at the highest level, being at North Carolina, coming back to Georgia. So happy for him, a 6'4", 300-pound man that's really going to provide us some beef on that defensive line. And then you talk about Deshaun. I mean, his versatility, he can be an edge player. He can go inside. He's done both in his high school career. But one of the things that we saw with him was elite pass rushing talent. When he's on an edge, he is really hard to defend. His transition skills, his first step off of the ball is really, really quick. And strong hands, strong at the point of attack. He's somebody that I think that people are going to look up and say, wow, he's getting to the quarterback often. And that's so to be able to get 2 big men and then one, you know, elite edge pass rusher is a very strong group.
Get a couple of guys in the middle of that defense at linebacker, and Jacob Hammonds and MJ Stroud. Talk about those 2 guys.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that's going to jump out to you is their length. You know, they're both 6'3" kids. They're going to be, they're 215 now. Both of them are, you know, going to look up and they're going to be 230, 240-pound bodies. And I like their versatility. I think both could be, you know, outside linebackers or inside linebackers. They show the physicality to be within the box. But, you know, you see their athleticism. They can play out in space. So really happy to have both those guys. It's hard to find that type of length and that type of athleticism combined, and their transition skills are off the charts. So really excited about those 2 kids. Bring a physical maturity to the park, too, that I think that can help us early in their careers.
You moved to the defensive secondary, and it's a place that you've said that it was a big key for this recruiting class. You look at Zaire Horton out of Woodstock, Treston Jordan, Kevin Speed, which is a great name out of Cairo, Mark Stampley, and Ashton Whitner. What do those guys really bring to the table?
Yeah, you know, when you look at that 5-man DB core, we wanted to bolster the defensive back room. We were not very deep by the end of the season. That was one of the things that I got to see, you know, being here in 3 weeks, and needed to address it kind of immediately. And so when you look at these safeties, guys that could also have athleticism to be able to be nickel players, you know, you look at Mark Stantley as one of the elite corners that I thought one of the elite corners in the state of Georgia, 2A Player of the Year. You know, he's, you know, when you look at that group, it's a talented group that brings, you know, that physical and mental maturity. I mean, these kids are, because of our depth, can come in here and compete. And so I'm looking forward to getting them on campus.
One of the biggest things, and we talked about it with Coach Whitley earlier on this afternoon, especially on the defensive side, so much versatility with this group, not just playing both sides of the ball, but can move around different positions on that defense.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I talked about the linebackers, I think MJ and Jacob can go be outside or inside. They have those that versatility. You look at Zaire. Zaire's been anywhere from a safety to a linebacker to a nickel player. You know, Ashton, I think could play. Ashton may be able to play all 5 positions, to be honest with you. There's just some elite athleticism and good size. I mean, these are all kids that are 6-foot-plus kids, great length. You look at Kevin Speed. I mean, just absolutely tremendous length. And so we increased our size at the DB position. I think we did a good job with the athleticism at the DB position, and a couple of those kids will come in early and have the chance to really grow over the spring.
We've talked about it all day, how it has been a whirlwind of the last month for you and this staff. How much has this staff really meant to you? Still getting to know some of these guys, but the amount of work that has been put in for Georgia Southern football the last month.
Well, I appreciate them, one, because, staff's chemistry is so important. And when you work as hard as we do, you got to like each other. And we've spent a lot of hours since they hit the ground. That's the first thing, is just to see the chemistry of the staff right now is really special to me, because they're guys I've known, but I know what quality people they are, great character people, great teachers, can care for kids, can develop kids and be honest with them. But they're also great recruiters, and they're guys that there's no job too small. It's an all hands on deck mentality. That's what we had to take, in this situation. And it was every person, up until all hours of the night, the last second of recruiting, it didn't matter. And they bring every day they're the same guy. I mean, they come in here with great energy, great juice. And that's one of the reasons I think that fed to the kids. They walked in, and when they left, I asked them, I said, what did you see? And they said, Coach, it's just genuine. It's family. It just feels real, and so that's what we want. We want to show ourselves, and it relates to kids, and so I'm proud of them. I really am. They've worked very hard for this moment in a very short period of time off little sleep, and they've done a tremendous job.
A lot of people focus, when you talk about a staff and signing day, a lot of people focus on the on-field coaches, and again, rightfully so, but a lot of people go into making this day possible. I think of people in the player development side, like an Andrew Bevel, somebody like a Cal King, your general manager, Ryan Smith, the people that don't necessarily you get to see all the time, but had a huge impact on this.
Oh my goodness! When I said it took everybody, I said in the press conference. I mean, I think Ryan Smith is one of the better general managers in the country. To be able to garner him from Auburn and bring him here, I thought was ultra important. To be able to have the work ethic of an Andrew Bevel, who's an up and coming young personnel assistant that just worked tirelessly. That was on the road for us, dang, just working as hard as he could. Cal King, the same thing. All our student assistants, Matt Transu in operations. We were short-handed, but we just tried to outwork everybody each and every day and tried to win the day, and that's what we did. And so when you add up all those little wins and stack them, you get to have a big day like this.
That was a big part of what you talked about in the press conference, outworking people. And I know that's really a mantra of what the programs that you have led have been a part of. And you've talked about it in college football, you're not going to win them all, but eventually if you work hard enough, you're going to win most. How much has that kind of bled into what you want to bleed into the staff and the players for this team?
Yeah, I wanted our type of work ethic, it just filters down. It filters to everybody in the building. It filters to the players. And so when you bring that same mentality every day, that did I win or lose the day? Did I give my absolute best effort in everything that I did? Every attribute of my life, did I get that done? And if you do that, then you're going to win more battles than you lose. We're not going to win them all. But, we decided to compete on a lot of these battles. We decided to work as hard as we possibly could to outwork and try to build even stronger relationships in a short amount of period of time. And we won some battles where some kids that were committed to other places that we just felt we can't let this kid leave the state of Georgia. And there was a handful of guys that we felt that they were program changers to be able to do that with. So I'm really proud of the staff. It took a lot of effort, and it was everybody in the building. It wasn't just one guy. It was a team recruiting effort, and that's what we've always done, and that's built the best, not only the best staffs, but the best recruiting departments also.
This morning there was a ton of excitement coming out of the war room and the offensive staff room from you guys. A lot of babies coming out of there as well. What's the excitement level whenever you have guys that flip to you, guys that come in that you've worked so hard the last month and a half, and really for a lot of these guys goes deeper than that. What's the excitement from the coaching staff and you whenever you get a big commitment like that?
Well, when you look at these 20 people, one, they're the right people. They're the right students, and they're the right players, and they fit your culture, and they fit what you're about. Plus, they know how to score points, and they know how to tackle people. So depending on what side of the ball they're on. And so when you get that player that you really feel, man, this is a program-changing player, you know, and you know you're battling against maybe 1, 2, 3 different teams. And you feel good about it, but you don't know you don't know until the ink is dry. And when that thing comes across, I mean, it's a special thing, because you know you just built the trust that was needed to start a beautiful relationship with parents, with players, and to be able to have that trust from a player and a parent to say, this is where we want to go. We believe in this university. We believe in this staff. That's a special honor. And yeah, it's a yeah, baby, when that happens.
Finally, before we let you go, everybody has talked about today a right fit for this university, a right fit for this program. When you're going out and recruiting outside of the football field, because that's a huge part of it, but you also have to look at the family, the relationships that you're going to build. What's the biggest thing off the field that you want to see from a Georgia Southern commit?
Well, you know, I want them to represent this tradition of excellence. That is who we are. You know, I watched not only our football players, but other sports, just our normal regular students too, walk across the graduation stage right from my window. And it made me realize how special this place is and what we all represent being here. I mean, this is a tradition of excellence that spans over 40 years as an athletic program, and this is a special university. And you have to realize that when you come in, that it's bigger than you, that it's team over self. You know, it's the university and the Georgia Southern brand is bigger than all of us, and we have to represent it on a daily basis with our effort, how we conduct ourselves, our character, and our production. You know, and so it really hits home to me how special a place this is for all of us. You know, students, faculty, staff, athletes. That remember how much you represent that, not only while you're here, but the rest of your life, because you're an Eagle for life.
Coach, really appreciate the time. Thank you for everything that you've done already to grow the Georgia Southern brand, the football program. Really excited about today. Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Once again, that's head coach Clay Helton for Georgia Southern football. That'll wrap up our coverage here on gseagles.com and on Facebook Live of National Signing Day 2021. 20 new Eagles welcomed into the family earlier on this afternoon. But for head coach Clay Helton, this is Colin Lacy saying so long, everybody.